Hey guys, and welcome back. In this video we're going to paint this controller for our buddies over at customcontroller.com, and spelled with double K, so make sure you check them out. This is a special tribute to Kobe and Gigi. Unfortunately we lost them, so we're going to do something special for them. First we're going to start off by cleaning and sanding the controller itself, and we're going to make sure to get everything nice and sanded and there's no shiny areas, otherwise the paint won't stick. The reason why we're using water is because then the sandpaper won't clog with the plastic, so the water allows the little sand particles to kind of wash away from the item, so you can sand more and more. I'm gonna go ahead and allow this to completely dry, and then I'm gonna go back with a little bit of alcohol and wipe off any grease that's on there, and then allow that alcohol to dry. Now let's go ahead and prime it. I'm using this Autoborn sealer, which is a great primer, and any acrylic will definitely stick on there, so it's a pretty good primer to use. Making sure I'm using gloves because it gets. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay down the purple. I'm going to go ahead and mix the purple, and I'm going to add a little bit of the Autoborn sealer to the paint so it gets a little bit harder. Just be sure not to use too much Autoborn sealer, otherwise it tends to clog the tip of the airbrush if you're spraying a larger area and you have to clean it often, so just be careful with that. So let's go ahead and mix that color and start spraying the base. When you are mixing your paint, be sure to add a little bit of water, and you want the consistency to be somewhat like milk. That's the best, the kind of like the best way to know if it's gonna shoot very well. If it looks kind of like milk, then you're good. If it's starting to get more like yogurt, that's like way too thick. If it's too watery, obviously you're gonna have to put a lot of layers down. So if it looks a little bit like milk, like this, then you're ready to shoot. You can tell if it's too thick after you put it in the gun because it tends to splatter as it lands on the item. If it's too wet, you'll be able to see a little bit of like kind of like water, clear water droplets forming around the paint, making it look like there's a little blemish on there. If it's airbrushing like that, then it's too wet. So try to find that happy medium when you're shooting. You could always dry the item after you shoot it and spray it again. The trick with painting plastic is putting a lot of thin layers and allowing them to dry completely. This way you're not laying down a thick layer of paint, because otherwise it tends to either shrink if it dries too fast, or it just takes longer for it to dry and you have to wait longer for you to continue on to the next design that's going to go on top of it. So you can use a blow dryer. It was hot for me that day, so I didn't use a blow dryer as much, but I was allowing it to dry in between. And now we're going to do the back cover. I taped off, masked off the areas where the controller assembles. This way it's easier to assemble and we don't have issues later on down the road. Try to prevent that from happening to you, so make sure you mask off areas that are the assembly points. So let's carry on and do the battery cover, and let's see what else we can add on this controller. And just to remind you guys, I don't only do controllers and shoes, I do t-shirts, I also do engraving, and paint, pretty much anything, jackets and stuff like that. So if you ever in need of getting things painted or custom created, custom gifts, shoot over a message and let's make something happen. After shooting the base on all the plastic items, I'm gonna go ahead and allow this to completely dry, and then after I'm dry, I'm gonna come back and start applying the graphics. Cutting a little bit of vinyl with the design, so I'm using that as a stencil, and let's go ahead and add a little bit of that Laker gold on there. Now right now I'm using regular 3M vinyl to do this. It's a little bit too sticky for stencils. I did find another vinyl mask that's made for masking. That's a little bit better. That at the time, this is the only thing I had. It still works great. Just be careful not to push the vinyl all the way down too hard, because then you might run into the problem of when you peel it off, the paint comes with it. So just be careful with that. After it's completely masked, I'm gonna go ahead and lay down a white base before I paint the golden yellow. This way it looks really nice and bright and doesn't get toned down. So, about 3 different layers of white, and then another 3 layers of golden yellow will work best. So if you go a little bit thicker, you can, but you'll be able to see that once you clear it. So try to go as thin as you can, but still having that coverage on there. Now, if you can see, there's a little white rip that happened right below that golden yellow, and that happens when you don't sand, enough. So that little area had a little bit of a highlight gloss still to it. So I had to go back there and sand that little area and completely fix that bottom portion. So I did that off screen. I'll show that in a different video, but just double check, make sure you sand, because that's the most important part of when you're painting these things on plastic. So otherwise the paint don't stick, and then you end up with a big mess. So you want to do it as fast as you can, so you make make your money and don't waste any time. So you want to make sure you sand. So a trick, if you're scared that the paint might come off while you're painting the graphics on top of your base, is you can apply a little bit of clear to protect it, allow that to dry, sand it, and then start painting the graphics on top of that. That'll give it an extra protection so it doesn't peel off if you're doing a lot of masking. So that's what I'm doing here, clearing it so it protects it. I'm going to go ahead and sand it, and then I'm going to do my graphics over that, and then do high gloss on top of that once I'm done. So just a little tip on clearing. As soon as you see the item get wet, that's it. You want to stop and move on to the rest of the item. This way, if you continue down that area, even though if you do want it heavier and to clear, just allow that to dry, sand it, do it again. This way you get your layers. Don't try to get it all covered real thick in the first layer, because you're gonna start getting like a lot of drips, and you don't want to obviously keep going back and keep sanding. So to try to get it as accurate as the photo, I went ahead and did a vinyl cutout on both the heart and the image of Kobe, and then slowly I'm peeling off each little section where I'm going to be painting. So I start off with the entire stencil being on the controller, and then slowly I'll remove, let's say the hat area, paint that, and then remove let's say the trophy, paint that, and then remove the face, paint that, and then slowly keep revealing the stencil. This way you don't lose your lines. It makes it a little bit easier. So right now I'm using the brush to add more details to it. I was just using the airbrush to apply the white underbase. And anytime you have a darker base, like a dark purple like we have here, or a black, even like a red, you always want to put a little white base on it so your other colors really pop out. So when I do portraits, I try to work from the base, like the underlayer color, and work my way up, adding shadows slowly, and then towards the end I add the highlights. So you'll see me do that a lot, and that's the best way that I found out that to do that paintings on plastic and stuff like that. So blending 2 colors together while they're wet on the plastic, it's extremely difficult. It's not going to happen. So I layer 1 color down, allow that to dry, layer another color on top of that, allow that to dry, and just keep doing that, and building kind of like a 3D effect, kind of like a 3D printer. Do the back first, and then kind of comes forward towards you. So think about it that way if it makes it easier for you. Alright, and here comes my favorite part, just removing all the stencil and seeing what the actual item looks like. So that's always the fun part. It almost feels like Christmas. So when you're peeling off the masking, see if you can peel it off, not up, but kind of like if you're peeling or ripping a piece of paper to the side, it tends to you know, help cut the paint that's sticking on both the item and the stencil. This way you don't lift part of the image that's supposed to stay on the actual controller. So I found out that's kind of like the best way. If your paint is too thick, you might want to go back after everything dries, cut it a little bit with the little razor blade before you take the masking off. This way you don't have any issue with lifting that painting off of that item. So hopefully that helps. Guys, if you're looking for me to paint something for you, hit me up, direct message me. If you're looking for a custom controller, check out my boys at customcontrollers.com. They'll be able to hook you up with a custom controller like this. And yeah, so anything else, just hit me up. Controllers, hit them up, customcontrollers.com. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.